today, and I see myself as a co-traveler here. And it's great to have inspiring and meaningful co-travelers like you all, and I look forward to knowing you all a little more and more conversations. So this MeToo campaign has many dimensions and facets to it. I will pick up two particular ones that I would like to share and deconstruct a little more with you all. One is power and the anatomy of power, and the second is the nomenclature, or the words we use both in our thought, imagination and in our verbal expression for men versus women. Looking at power, I think we've all grown up with stories of the Mahabharata, and we've all seen, read about and assimilated that iconic chapter from the Mahabharata where Draupadi, the wife of the Pandavas, is dragged by her hair by her brother-in-law Dushasan and taken to the court when her husband Yudhishthira loses her in a game of chess, and she is disrobed. Lord Krishna comes to her rescue, and the sari becomes never-ending, and she isn't disrobed. A very, very iconic and metonymic scene from our mythology, our religion, from where we get our value structures as Indians. I would say that power today requires that kind of disrobing, and each of us have to be the Krishnas here if we really want to see a difference. In small ways, Krishna made his appearance there in a very spectacular way, in a very supernatural way, but in a way when translated into everydayness can be small for each of us but can be meaningful. So let me look a little bit about what I mean by power. And here the way power is understood and exercised is a little different in the West as compared to the East. Just the other day I was at the Sonar Bangla, and I think the ITC Sonar, and I think Calcutta is hosting the 23rd International Film Festival, so there's a host of film stars here. And Kajol just walked past, and she had this entourage around her and dark glasses on. And I noticed how people view celebrity in India and power in India so much different to what they do abroad. Abroad, there is a sense of viewing celebrity and power as celebrities are commodities that encourage conspicuous consumption. So they are the products that help sell things for everyone. The same true in India, but by and large, when the majority of our rural population, lower income groups go to watch Bollywood films, those Bollywood film stars or the cricket stars that they are consuming are not really there to sell products, but they're through whom these lower income groups fulfill their desires, de-stress themselves. So in a way, they are living their lives vicariously through celebrity. That is what gives celebrity this greater psychological power in a country like India or in the East as compared to in the West. Secondly, what happens with celebrity, more so here than abroad, is it's a form of anesthesia. We anesthetize ourselves using celebrities as forms of power. So I think when someone like Harvey Weinstein comes to the fore and is exposed, and just today a friend told me apparently he even approached Aishwarya Rai and tried to summon her to his room, which I wasn't aware of. And then you have, because of him now in the UK, for example, all the female MPs, members of parliament, have formed a WhatsApp group where they are exchanging messages about all the male MPs who have propositioned them or who are the harassers and abusers. And you find out that it's often the same men who have these repetitive patterns of behavior because they get away with it once. That gives them the power to think, or the ability to think they can get away with it repeatedly. So I feel with the whole notion of power here, why is understanding power important, is because we have a role to play. It is us and our fascination with the gloss of celebrity and power that gives people in power the ability to act like this without consequences. It is for us to remove all the hiding places so that these people have no perfect cover that we give them. How do we do that? For example, how many of us value others on the basis of their achievements or their wealth as compared to their decency as a human being or how they treat others. In India, you'll often find, I'm a single lady, and you'll often find someone say, we've got a proposal from a good house. What is a good house? Good house is normally someone who's moneyed. I always ask my mother and others, I want to see how they treat others. I want to see how they treat their driver, how they treat their workers, how they treat their friends and family. I was once here at a wedding, beautiful wedding, 5-star hotel setting. A lovely lady who was a bit of a social celebrity in India came up to me and we started talking. I started sharing my work about paint towel with her. And suddenly, very unexpectedly, I had no expectation, she said, Priya, I have been sexually abused for 17 years of my life. I was stunned. This gorgeous, glamorous lady, an epitome of elegance and all that success is about or has come to mean to us in a worldly sense. And I was quiet and she said, I don't know how I've even said this to you. Maybe you talking about your work with Paint Our World, or you've seen someone I can speak to and I can trust. And she said to me, Priya, I have 2 daughters today. That guy is my mama, my mother's brother, and I just try and keep my 2 girls away from him as much as possible in all our family events. And then we had a short chat where I said, have you never outed him? Have you never told anyone about him? And she said, no, he's the most respectable character in my family. I haven't had the courage till today, even though I have achieved so much. But yes, in some ways, I have given my husband some hints that I went through a dark experience throughout my childhood, right till the time I was married and I left my home because we lived in a joint family. Her main concern at that time was, Priya, I have 2 young daughters and I am absolutely sure that I have well protected them from this man in the family. And now we have this MeToo campaign, and one of her daughters shared her experience on Facebook, and it was the same man who abused her mother's own uncle. So we in India are even allowing that perfect cover in situations of power within the family. We need to understand that power is any hierarchy where somebody feels more vulnerable or less able to find courage as compared to another. That is what I understand power as executing itself in an everyday sense. So we need to take responsibility in our everyday lives, how we understand ourselves, our families, celebrity, the gloss of celebrity. Every time you look at page 3 and you admire each of us in it, you are somewhere creating a hierarchy where some people are in a situation of power where they can get away with things without consequence as compared to others. So each of us has that ability to start incrementally redressing this imbalance of power. And again, leading from the same concept of power comes the situation of nomenclature, or how we name genders, and that perpetuates a gender inequality. We all know about sati in India, right? Where the woman would be immolated on her husband's funeral pyre, immolated alive. So sati is outlawed now, barring the odd exceptions in rural areas. It doesn't exist anymore. But are we not still, as women, immolating our desires, our little authenticities, how we want to dress, or how the mom-in-law will think, or how the friend will think, or how the dad's brother will think, or our dreams, our little everyday ambitions to do something over men in society? So that little lift of flame that still creeps into our lives and takes upon us, for me, that is how sati is neatly packaged and concealed for the 21st century. Not just in India, but all over the world. I was at a very intellectual event in London recently where there were some political heavyweights, authors, writers, and they were talking about a very famous couple. I overheard them talking about the promiscuity of both members of this marriage. The man was spared any tax. The woman was called a slut, a whore, a keep to many. I was aghast. I said, if the intellectuals of the 21st century and the political heavyweights talk like this, then what can we expect filtering down as the discourse, conversation, narrative for the rest of society? Why is it that a woman is ascribed these names when she is also the giver of life and a man is spared? Why is it that when a man is with, say, multiple women, he is called a philanderer or a womanizer, but no shame is ascribed to it? In fact, there is even a subtle sense of covert pride to it, that he's a player. But a woman becomes a repository of shame. I am not a feminist. I do not believe that women have a place above men. I believe that we are made unequally. We are meant to be unequal, so is our role in nature. But that does not mean we are unequal in dignity. In hierarchy, we ought to be equal. In dignity, we ought to be equal. And our unequalness means we need to work in tandem. We need to work complementary to each other. So the best teams, even when you work in a company, if today I was working with Devanshi and Priya, our team would be strong if each of us had a different strength and we brought that strength to the table, as compared to three of us having identical strengths and identical weaknesses. So it needs to be celebrated in a way where our unequalness, I do not want to hear any more about the equality of the genders, because we aren't equal, we aren't meant to be equal as genders or even as human beings. Two people of the same gender aren't equal. But are we equal in dignity? Are we equal in the space of respect that we expect from each other? Yes. And I feel that is where the emphasis and the conversation ought to lie. So yes, today we need to disrobe this nomenclature and disrobe how we have given power, a structure and anatomy in our heads, the way Draupadi was disrobed. So we need to bring that disrobing into the 21st century. And that's how, in small incremental ways, we can bring about meaningful change. Because we have now a population of 7 billion and growing. Unless the change doesn't come incrementally from multitudes of people, we will not see the superpower of change happening. So thank you for giving me the chance to share this. Thank you, Priya. Thank you, Devanshi.